I married a man who never spoke about his past. One night, I found a locked room in our mansion and stole his keys. Inside, I discovered dozens of portraits, each one of a woman who looked exactly like me. From different centuries. My hands trembled as I turned to see him standing in the doorway. "You weren't supposed to find this," he whispered. "But it's time you remembered who you are. And who you've always been." I met Daniel 5 years ago in Manhattan. I worked events for nonprofits. He was at a cancer research fundraiser, standing alone, drink in hand, watching everyone like he was trying to read them. He looked like he didn't belong there, but not in a bad way. More like someone from another time. He had this old-school energy. Calm. Polite. Gentle. Not like most men I knew in NYC. We started talking. One drink turned into 3. I don't know how else to explain it, but it felt like I'd known him already. I couldn't stop looking at him. I've had flings before. I've dated. But Daniel felt different. I thought maybe it was just his quiet confidence or the way he listened without making it about himself. We started dating. Everything moved fast. 6 months later, we were married in a small ceremony in Vermont. His idea. No guests except 2 witnesses. He said he didn't have family. Never talked about friends. Never brought up his childhood or where he went to school. Every time I asked, he'd smile and say, "None of that matters now." We moved into a huge house in the Hudson Valley, Cold Spring. He said it had been in his family for generations, but when I asked more about them, he would deflect. Always gently. Never angry. Just distant. The house was old. Like, really old. Big stone fireplaces, antique furniture, creaky floors. I loved it at first. It felt romantic, mysterious even. The kind of place you only see in period movies. I thought maybe he liked history. He never said. We had a few rooms we never used. Some were locked. I didn't care much in the beginning. I just assumed they were storage or just rooms he hadn't renovated. But then little things started happening. One day I found him staring at an old black and white photo in his study. When I asked what it was, he hid it in a drawer and told me not to worry about it. A few times, I'd catch him murmuring in languages I didn't understand in his sleep. His nightmares were violent. He'd wake up covered in sweat, gasping, sometimes whispering names I'd never heard before. I once heard him say, "Anna, not again, please, not this time, my name isn't Anna." I started to feel like I didn't know the man I married. Then, one night, he had to go to Boston for a business meeting. He left in the afternoon. Said he'd be back the next day. That evening, I couldn't sleep. Something felt off. I don't even know why. I wasn't trying to snoop. I just walked around the house. Thinking. I ended up outside the one door I'd never seen open. It was at the far end of the 2nd floor. Heavy wood. No knob. Just a keyhole. I remembered once seeing him put a keyring in his desk drawer. Each one of me. But not exactly me. They were different. The clothes were from different centuries. One woman wore a corset and lace from the 1700s. Another had on a Victorian dress. There was one that looked like it came from the 1920s, bobbed hair, flapper dress. Another wore something that looked like medieval armor. But their faces? Mine. Same eyes. Same cheekbones. Same birthmark near the left ear. I stood there frozen. I didn't know what to think. My legs started shaking. My hands were cold. I backed away, and that's when I heard it. The door creaked. He was standing there. Daniel. He wasn't supposed to be back yet. He looked different. Not angry. Not sad. Just tired. Like someone carrying too many secrets for too long. "You weren't supposed to find this," he said quietly. His voice echoed in the room. I couldn't breathe. Who are they? I asked. Why do they all look like me? He stepped inside, slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. You know the answer. You've always known. No, I said. No, I haven't. Tell me. Right now. He stared at me for a long time. Then he said, it's time you remembered who you are, and who you've always been. I shook my head. Don't give me riddles. I'm not playing. He sat down in the chair near one of the paintings. The oldest looking one. A woman in a green dress with gold embroidery. Long braid. Eyes wide, like she saw something terrifying. That was you, he whispered. The first time I found you. 1324, France. I laughed. A dry, broken laugh. What the hell are you talking about? You've lived before. Many times. And each time, I find you. We fall in love. And every time, something tears us apart. I stood there, trying to make sense of it. My heart was beating so hard I thought it might break through my chest. You're saying I've lived multiple lives? And you've known me in each one? He nodded. I looked at the paintings again. The eyes. They weren't just painted well. They felt alive. Each one looked like it was trying to speak. Why don't I remember any of it? I asked. He looked down. Some souls forget. Some don't. Yours has always chosen to forget. Maybe it's the pain. Maybe it's a way to protect yourself. I didn't know what to say. I felt like I was going to throw up. Why didn't you tell me? I thought this life would be different. That maybe, if I let you live in peace, if I didn't push, we could stay together longer this time. I looked at him. This time? He nodded again. You always die before me. Sometimes by accident. Sometimes murdered. Sometimes, he paused, sometimes you leave, and I can never find you again. That word hit hard. Murdered. I whispered, by who? He looked at me with such a deep sadness, I almost cried. We wait. And we remember. Everything. Before it's too late. After that night, things weren't the same. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Every time I looked in the mirror, I felt like I was staring at a stranger. Or worse, 100 versions of me stacked on top of each other, all screaming to be heard. Daniel tried to act normal. Made breakfast. Kissed my forehead. Smiled like everything was fine. But I could feel it. The shift. He was watching me differently now. Like he was waiting for me to crack open. To remember. He kept asking questions. Weird ones. Do you ever dream of fire? Does the name Catherine mean anything to you? Do you get dizzy when you hear old piano music? At first, I just said no. But then something started happening. The dreams. They came fast. Every night. Vivid, too real. One night, I was drowning in a river while people in 1800s clothes watched. Another night, I was running through a dark forest in a red cloak. Someone was chasing me, calling me a witch. I woke up screaming. One night, I dreamed I was on a ship. A man stood behind me, whispering in my ear, "Jump, or we both die." I turned, and his face was Daniel's, but different. Younger. Harder. Blood on his collar. I started keeping a notebook by the bed, scribbling down details the moment I woke up. Daniel read every page like it was scripture. Every time I remembered something, his eyes lit up like fireflies in the dark. But something still felt wrong. One morning, I walked into the portrait room again. I started noticing details I hadn't before. Tiny scratches on one of the frames. A face behind a curtain in one painting. In another, the corner had been painted over, sloppily. I scratched at it, and the paint flaked off like old skin. Underneath was a man's face. Not Daniel. Someone else. Eyes black as coal. A deep scar across his cheek. Smiling like he knew me. I ran to Daniel and showed him. He went quiet. Too quiet. Then he said, "You weren't supposed to see that one yet." I snapped. "Who is he?" He finally looked at me and said one word. "Victor." That name sent chills through my spine. Daniel sat me down again, this time his face pale like a ghost. He told me Victor had followed us across centuries. Always jealous. Always obsessed with me. In some lives, he was Daniel's friend. In others, a stranger. Sometimes he'd come as a priest. A king. A doctor. He always found us. "He believes you belong to him," Daniel whispered. "He thinks you were his first. That I stole you." I couldn't take it anymore. So what is this, some eternal love triangle? Am I cursed? Is that it? Daniel didn't answer. The same face from the painting. "I'm sorry," I said. "Do we know each other?" He smiled. "You will." Again. I stumbled back. My cart rolled into the street. He leaned in and whispered, "You've always been mine." I didn't wait. I ran. Left the groceries. Called Daniel in a panic. He didn't pick up. When I got home, I saw muddy footprints on the porch. The door was unlocked. I stepped inside, heart pounding so loud it echoed in my ears. "Daniel?" I called out. No answer. I walked through the living room. The kitchen. Silence. Then I reached the study. The portrait room door was wide open. Inside, paintings smashed. Frames broken. The air smelled like fire and oil paint. And on the floor, right in the center of the room, was something I'll never forget. A single painting left untouched. A new one. It was me. Not from another life. Me now. Same hoodie. Same messy bun. Standing in that very room. Looking terrified. Behind me in the painting, stood Victor. Hand on my shoulder. Smile like he'd already won. I stared at the new painting for a long time. Too long. I don't even know how long I stood there. My ears were ringing. My mouth was dry. I kept whispering to myself, "This isn't real. This isn't real." But there it was. The me from now. And Victor, standing right behind me like he'd been there all along. And then I realized something that made my stomach twist. The background of the painting, it wasn't just anywhere. It was this room. The portrait room. But more importantly, it showed a mirror behind me. There's no mirror in this room. At least, I thought there wasn't. I turned slowly. Started looking. Tapping the walls. Feeling around the edges of the molding. I grabbed my phone and texted Daniel again. "Where are you? Something's wrong. Call me. Please." Still nothing. I left the door alone and sat on the floor for hours, staring at the painting. The brushwork was new. Still fresh. The scent of oil paint hadn't even settled. Then I noticed something else. My face in the painting, it wasn't just scared. It was frozen. Eyes wide. Mouth open. Like I'd seen something. Like I was screaming. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen, lit every candle I could find, and went back to the secret door. My hands were shaking. My vision felt weird, blurry and sharp at the same time. I crawled inside. It led to a narrow hallway. Cold. Damp. The walls were stone, and the air smelled like wet earth and rust. I followed it until it opened into another room. And that's when things got worse. There were more portraits. Not of me. Of them. All the other versions of me. But this time, not in frames. They were stacked. Torn. Some slashed down the middle. Some painted over in black. In one corner, there was a mirror, but it was shattered. All the shards had been collected into a small pile, like someone was trying to hide them. And there were other things too. A black book with symbols I didn't recognize. A locket with a picture of me, and Daniel, and Victor. Together. Laughing. Like old friends. My heart almost stopped. There was a chair in the center of the room. Old. Carved. And strapped down with leather bindings. It was a restraint chair. Next to it was a tray. Scissors. A small vial of something dark red. A folded note with my name on it. I opened it. The handwriting was neat. Elegant. I recognized it. It was Daniel's. You were starting to remember too fast. I had to slow it down. If you're reading this, I failed again. I'm sorry. I thought this time we had more time. Don't trust what you see. Don't trust what you remember. And if he finds you, run. Don't talk. Don't listen. Run. I sat there, the letter in one hand, the knife in the other. Trying to breathe. Everything was spinning. That's when I heard a voice behind me. You found it too soon. I turned. It was Daniel. But something was wrong. His eyes were darker. Cold. The way he stood, stiff, like someone wearing a body, not living in it. Daniel? I whispered. He smiled, but it wasn't him. It looked like him. But it wasn't. I always wondered what it would feel like, he said. To wear the face of the one she trusted. I backed away. No, I said. You're not him. His grin widened. Call me what you want. Victor. Daniel. Doesn't matter anymore. You remember enough now. That's all I needed. He stepped forward. The candlelight flickered across his face. His shadow didn't move with him. I dropped the knife. My legs gave out. He crouched next to me, reaching out to touch my face. You always fight it, he whispered. But you always come back. Then his expression changed. His head turned sharply toward the hallway. Like he heard something. Footsteps. Fast. Loud. Another figure burst into the room. It was Daniel. The real one. His clothes torn. Blood on his forehead. He tackled the other man to the ground. Run, he shouted. I didn't wait. I ran. I didn't stop until I was out of the hallway, out of the portrait room, down the stairs, out into the freezing cold night barefoot. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to trust. But one thing was now crystal clear. This wasn't just about love. It was a war. And I was right in the middle of it. I didn't know how far I'd run. My feet were numb. Bloodied. My chest burned from the cold air. I kept looking over my shoulder like he'd be right there. Victor. Or whoever, or whatever, he truly was. I made it to a neighbor's porch. I banged on their door like a madwoman until a man in his 70s opened it with a shotgun in hand. When he saw the look on my face, barefoot, wild-eyed, he lowered the gun and brought me inside. His name was Earl. He and his wife Ruth lived about a mile from our estate. I'd only seen them once at a local farmer's market. I told them I'd been attacked. That my husband was in danger. I didn't know how to explain the rest. What was I going to say? A reincarnated evil spirit is trying to steal my soul through centuries of obsession? No. I told them just enough to get help. Earl called the police. I tried to calm down. But I was shaking too hard. Within the hour, 2 patrol cars pulled up to our house. By then, I had insisted they bring me with them. And what we found? The house was empty. No signs of a fight. No blood. No broken furniture. The portrait room? Still sealed. The secret hallway? Gone. Just a wall now. Like it had never existed. But the painting of me and Victor, that was still there. Sitting neatly in the study, now framed. Hanging like it had always belonged. They said they found no Daniel. No intruder. No signs of forced entry. But they did find something that made everything worse. A journal. Hidden in a compartment under Daniel's desk. Only, it wasn't written by Daniel. It was written by me. Dozens of pages. Handwriting that matched mine exactly. But I had no memory of ever writing them. Some entries dated back to 1894. Others to 1796. There were notes about Victor. About Daniel. About the bindings. About trying to break the cycle. One line repeated again and again. Do not trust him. He always comes as Daniel first. I dropped the journal. Couldn't breathe. Had I been wrong this whole time? Had Daniel, my Daniel, never been who I thought? The cops thought I was having a breakdown. They brought in a therapist. I tried to explain. Ruth stood up for me. Said I was a good girl, just scared out of her damn mind. Days passed. No sign of Daniel. No messages. No calls. But Victor? He wasn't done. One night, I got a package. No return address. Inside was a small, handheld mirror. One of those old antique ones. Engraved on the back, Anna, look closer. I threw it across the room. I was losing my mind. I didn't know what to believe. But the final straw came a week later. I got a call from the town hall. Apparently, someone claiming to be my husband had come to register property ownership documents. Except he used a different name. Victor Langdon. He provided a wedding certificate. Signed by me. And it wasn't forged. The signature was mine. Dated 2 years before I'd even met Daniel. That's when I snapped. I marched into that mansion. I didn't care if the walls moved again. If the secret hallway vanished. If time twisted. I went straight to the portrait room. And this time, it was open. He was waiting. Daniel, or Victor, whoever he was. He sat calmly by the fire. As if we were just about to have tea. I was wondering how long it'd take, he said softly. I didn't hold back. I screamed. I cursed. I picked up one of the damn portraits and smashed it to the ground. Who are you? I yelled. What am I? What the hell is this? He stood slowly. You already know. I don't want riddles. I screamed, my voice cracking. Was any of it real? Did you ever love me? Or am I just some cursed soul you keep following through time like a parasite? His face changed then. And for the first time, I saw pain. Yes, it was real, he said quietly. More real than you'll ever understand. You lied, I said, tears rolling down my face. You made me believe you were safe. That we had a future. I wanted to save you, he said, stepping forward. But I failed again. Just like all the other times. Then came the twist I wasn't ready for. I'm not Daniel, he said. And I'm not Victor either. I stared at him. I was both. At different times. In different lives. We've all been each other. You've been the killer. I've been the lover. Victor has been you. We're all trapped in this spiral. My knees gave out. You're lying, I whispered. No, he said. This is the curse. We switch roles every cycle. None of us are purely victim or monster. Then how do we stop it? I sobbed. He knelt in front of me. You already did, he said. By remembering. He handed me the mirror. Look, he said. Really look. I didn't want to. But I did. And for a split second, I saw something. All of us. Me. Him. Victor. Blending into one face. Screaming. And then it was gone. I left that night. Earl and Ruth took me back in. The house? Burned down a week later. They said it was electrical. But I didn't believe it. The journal vanished. The police dropped the case. They thought I was recovering from a traumatic delusion. But deep down, I know the truth. We were all each other's sins. Daniel. Victor. Me. We weren't enemies. We were a cycle. A closed loop of guilt, obsession, and love warped into something unnatural. Ruth once asked me, "Do you think you'll ever go back?" I told her no. But I lied. Some nights, I drive past the ruins of the mansion. I sit there. Waiting. Wondering. If I'll ever see him again. If I'll ever become him. Or if I already have. I used to think love was enough. That it could save you. That it was always pure. Now I know better. Love isn't always the answer. Sometimes, love is the curse. And the scariest thing isn't losing yourself to someone else. It's realizing you were the monster all along. And still wanting to go back.